So the bowl final is the key, and obviously Skegness and Hansford. How's your form around there?
Skegness are not too bad. Hopefully it starts raining in semi-final. I might get away.
And Hansford?
I've not raced there. I only raced there in the Mini when I used to race Brisker Mini, so see how it goes.
Because you've raced Minis, what's the difference between that and an A2? Obviously, slightly the lack of big cage around you and obviously no receivers. That's certainly a help, isn't it?
We never had receivers when we used to race, but the big difference is rear-wheel drive. It's a lot different, and you just got to be coming out the bends a bit more. But it's my 4th season in these now, I think, so it's coming together, I think. But we'll finally got to be in it to win it, I suppose. So it's anyone's game. Like, people have come from back last row on the grid and won it. So not just once, it happened a couple of times in the last couple of years. So anyone's game, innit?
It is indeed. So this is your first time as first trip to St Day. How do you find it?
In practice it was going alright, but then in that heat it went a lot better than I thought, so see how the final goes. Just set the car up, put some new tyres on and see what happens.
So with a reasonable score there for Moody, it was he was one of the mighty four that came down to the wonderful, as I'm now going to call it, through the Valley of Windmills. Be more windmills going up on the A30 every time I go down to St Day.
Yes, and we're not talking Dutch little mouse with clogs on type windmills. We're talking ugly windmills on hills.
To be honest, windmills, obviously Cornwall was the first place to have a wind farm, and I don't mind them because I'm used to seeing them now. But like I say, they seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the farms are getting bigger as well.
Yes, if they haven't, you go through a sea of, on my journey down to Cornwall, then through Somerset, you go through a sea of solar panels, and then you see the windmills once you get to Cornwall. Anyway, we're digressing. Yes, renewable energy, not quite yet.
Well, it was, like I say, the Scottish did come down in great order, and the J-Ho Pasty bonus was gratefully received by Liam Rennie and George McMillan. And they took a bottle of Korev with them as well, and a saffron bun, which is ticking all 3 boxes on the old culinary delight. So he had, a bit of afters as well. There we go. So, first heat, 2 heats. Good showing of cars at St Day, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was probably the best attended St Day qualifier for probably 2 or 3 years. And in terms of the number of visitors as well.
We could never have dreamed of having so many Scots down. Well, I think the last time we had that many Scots down, I think, was when it was the triple header. We could never have dreamed of having so many Scots down. Well, I think the last time we had that many Scots down, I think, was when it was the triple header.
Yes, 2009. Yes, it was. Yes.
Yes, so the last St Column. But it was Neil Hooper who took the first heat. It was quite a frantic race, that one. The finish was certainly one to behold, with Dan Moss deciding, actually, no, I'm not going to play third fiddle to you, George McMillan or Liam Rennie. I'm taking my second place back on the last corner, and so he did. It was a very good race.
Yes, whereupon he was ribbed about that the following evening at the Neil Turan's barbecue. He was reminded that he does race in Scotland sometimes. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
See you up the wall. And then in the second heat, it was very much a case of an early yellow flag and Gordon Moody taking over pretty soon after, with a faultless win there in the second heat. The consolation, well, it was a case of a bit more of a war of attrition more than anything else, but it certainly ended the way with the form book showing that Justin Fisher and trailing home Ryan Wadling and the travelling James Riggle. But the final, now, if you were there, you waited from start to finish 2 hours.
Yes, if you were there, you were there. Because it was in 2 parts. We had the race or start that never was, where it was just a messy attempt to get going, and because starter Sam Brenton hadn't shown the green flag, the monumental pile-up that was caused by the messy start. Thankfully, Stuart Nick Wadge said, look, the green flag's not gone down. All those who want to repair can repair. They brought the next race on. And then, yes, half an hour or 40 minutes later, we were back for part 2.
And the same thing happened again. It was an aborted start, but the Blues got into the yellows this time, as opposed to the yellows got into the whites. And then, well,
Well, we had two or three yellow flags, very early yellow flags, and the upshot is that Gordon Moody was in the lead on lap 4, and then came power failure.
then came power failure, as if to say, hang on a minute, we haven't had these things here. So we had the impromptu sing-song from John Wyatt, trying to invoke memories of Wimbledon's of old, trying to invoke a little bit of Cliff Richard and told you it would be coming, didn't I? There we go. We have our first result in from Skegness, and the result is as follows. It has been confirmed. This is the one. We have a Pringle as well, 199. Well, that was Jack Marshall crossed the line first, but he got the Pringle for jumping the restart, so he joins the illustrious crew. But the winner was 618 Ben Lockwood, Luke Wrench 560 in second. Jack Marshall obviously then officially third in 199. 38 Dave Polly, 557 Andrew Spence in fifth. Sixth was Craig Wallace. Tim Bailey in seventh in 817. 458 Mark Meads in eighth. And 184 Aaron Vates in ninth. And 178 Mark Dews taking the 10th spot. So there you go. There's the first heat done. Probably next heat will be not too far away. So we'll keep you peeled on that one. We'll return you now to myself and Steve. Falling on very deaf ears, because, as you know, John likes to whisper. If it was Brian Goldsworthy, on the other hand, they would have heard the song, and there would have been a rousing chorus of something like Campbell O'Neill or something, known Brian.
But with no power, it was charts to manual. It was full on manual lap scoring for the restart.
And, of course, you were in charge of the pen that day.
Yeah, so, Crispin was the main lap scorer. But yeah, we managed to get through it. But it was just one of those things, really. It was just, these things happen. But the upshot is that we ended up with an utter annihilation from Gordon Moody. As dominant win as you're ever likely to see anywhere ever. And bear in mind, you can probably still count on your fingers how many meetings Gordon has raced at St Day in his career.
Yeah, if you're from that area, though, you have more fingers to count. So,
you said it.
I said it. I can say it. I've got a lot of friends down in Red Roof. Camborne, not so much. But 7. It was the number 7 car that took the win in the final. Second place, another local went to the form book. Really, it was the 3 quickest men of the day. Was 1, 2, and 3. I kind of called it around about lap 4 when we had the stoppage for Paul Butcher, and it was, like I say, it would be Moody, Hooper, and Macmillan, and that's how it finished. So to some people, it was over to, on the following day, a nice little trip to the seaside, and then a trip over to St Austell. In the dulcet tones of Bill Daly, you could probably hear whispering on the breeze across the road from the St Austell to the Neil Truhan barbecue, an annual fixture for many. And with George McMillan turning up in style with the pace car and the World Final trophy, which I'm pretty certain that that trophy's never going to be let out of his sight. He's going to have to be prized out of his hands in September.
Yes, that could almost, that would be the pre-meeting entertainment and World Final night, I think. Chasing George around Hendersford, which is quite a long way to chase, as to give the trophy back.
We camped down to Taunton, and we had a bit of fun there, as one person turned up and another didn't. You pick up the story, Steve.
Well, the story is that Gordon Moody was booked in to race at Taunton on Tuesday. He booked in only ever provisionally on Tuesday because he knew he was doing Buxton, he knew he was doing St Day. He scored more points at St Day than he thought he would. I mean, to be fair to Gordon, I don't suspect as he was heading down the A30 on Sunday morning, he thought, you know what, I'm going to come down here and take away a maximum, which is what he did. They had work to be done because bear in mind, of course, this was very close to the Skeg weekend, which is more than just a weekend, it's half a week. And he came in the office and said, look, I've scored enough, I'm going home. Which, of course, was a big shame because Rob Speake had booked in prior, and many people were looking forward to the inevitable proverbial clash of the Titans.
Oh, yeah, that was the exact phrase I was going to use to describe it. It is becoming now a clash of the Titans. It's becoming like a soap opera, because obviously with every driver they do have big social media fan bases, and of course one likes to wind up the other. So it's always quite good to watch the fireworks, shall we say? But like I say, I mean, it is a case that sometimes drivers do have other commitments.
Well, that's right. I mean, yes, it was disappointing, but so be it. And it could could be that whilst obviously we're recording this on Wednesday, we're going out on Thursday. It could be that the two are meeting as we speak, or as we're being heard now. Because Rob Speake, so we'll obviously get to Skegness in due course, but Rob Speake is due at Skegness tonight. We don't know about Gordon.
Well, I do. There's been official confirmation on that front, and I'll get back to you on that one.
Right. Okay. Yes. That's whilst I was away then. Whilst I was out walking the fields this evening.
It's obviously Taunton. We'll talk about Speake. He was in the Chris Roots Elite car, which was originally designated for him, wasn't it?
It's to a certain extent, yes. Terry George built the car, built a chassis. It was designated perhaps for Rob. Chris Roots bought it primarily to race in Holland because super stocks are extinct in Holland. Have been for years, probably always will be now, but Chris and his family do love their racing in Holland. But he did race it at Bristol on Easter Sunday. To be honest with you, considering he hadn't raced in England Formula 2s for 2 or 3 years, he did all right in it. But yeah, that is the car that Rob drove. As it stands, it was a 2-meeting deal that he had with Chris Roots for the Taunton qualifier, Skegness qualifier. Anything beyond tonight at Skegness is still open to negotiation.
Indeed, we don't know what's going to happen on that front, but certainly, hopefully it was in a state of red oxide, I think, the chassis, which is quite there. I think a bit of weight saving there. It's to the extremes, I think.
Yes, and I believe the panels from the car that was written off in the 2013 World Final have made their way from Manchester down to Surrey in the past week as well. So we wait and see what skin it's in at Skegness.
That should be quite good fun to see. But like I say, the car he hadn't driven, he went out and he won Heat 1.
Yes, I mean he won Heat 1. He had been there in the afternoon open practice session, but was quick straight out of the box in it, and yeah, winning Heat 1.
And it's now becoming a bit of a tradition in the West Country now. Another heat wins the Neil Hooper.
Yes, another world qualifying heat win.
And, well, the consolation went away as Shane Hector, who truly is the form man in the West Country with regard to the lower graders at the moment. And I think he's at Skegness tonight. I know he had a good score.
Yes, he certainly is planning to, yes.
That's after I told him that. He said, well, actually, that could be enough. If you turn up at Skeg and get some points, you should be near the front. Then we go to the final. And what a final it was.
Oh, absolutely scintillating stuff. There was 9 laps. I won't say half the race, because it wasn't quite. But the first 9 laps was amazing. Or as you say in Cornwall, amazing, or however it is you say it. Amazing. It was amazing. You just didn't know where to look. There was something going on absolutely everywhere. To the haters that are out there hating, saying that Brisker Formula 2 have China bumpers and this, that, and the other, and wow, this was nothing of the sort. And there was a yellow flag on lap 9 with Cy Harraway, it was, who was stranded across the track and signalled that he didn't want to remain there, which was fair dues. But that sort